Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'du. I greet our listening audience. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak. Welcome to our morning M.A.L.I Ramadan sessions for students. These presentations are for students, students of Qur'an, and everyone is welcome to join. Okay, this is week 1 and day 3. We're going to look at chapter 55, verse 14 through 16 in the first week, and looking at different sources. So we looked at sources for grammar, along with the 5 sheets, M.A.L.I's 5 sheets, and we've taken a look at the Arabic dictionary. Yesterday we took a look at Lisan al-Arab. Today we're going to take a look at Qur'an by Qur'an. Understanding the Qur'an by the Qur'an. Looking at the Qur'an by the Qur'an. Those of you that's joining us on Facebook, we have a dial-in number that you can dial into, 857 dial-in number, and we have the access code, 534-524#. You can dial in on Sunday. Call in on Sunday, and we have the screen sharing. We have the webinar screen sharing. Here, if you go to muslimaamericanlogic.ning.com and look under, go to the, let's see. If you go down to find my name, under my name, you'll find this address, highlight, and click on the highlight. For some of you all on Facebook, it doesn't take you to the site. So you have to go to muslimaamericanlogic.ning.com. I put the information up on Facebook, and you all should be able to see it. And then click on the highlight from there, and it will take you to the, it will open up the screen, your screen for the, follow the prompt, open up your screen for the webinar. And I will be sharing my screen with your screen, and you will see everything. Especially on Sunday, because Sunday we will have questions and discussion. Also, you can call in on Sunday if you have questions you have written down and ask your questions on Sunday. Questions on what we're presenting during the week. And the students, the M.A.L.I students, most of you are M.A.L.I students. Yes, be sure to have your questions and comments for Sunday. So, looking at chapter 55:14, we're going to be discussing, looking at the conceptual and contextual, how the Qur'an defines itself. Clay, the idea of clay. What's the concept of this clay? So we're going to discuss or see or find created humanity. Insan, created humanity, formed and shaped. Formed and shaped. It makes intelligible sounds. It's like pottery. It's like pottery. It's formed and shaped like pottery and makes intelligible sounds, and it's also sensitive. The jinn, we're looking at these conceptual ideas: fire, man, opinionated, confused, and lie. Quranic concept of jinn. And fire, raging, partition, or barrier, sweet and bitter. Now, as we go, I'll show you. So this is what we're going to be discussing today. So let's start with the verse. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Khalaqa al-insan. So when you read in the Quran, the first words is really the crux of the verse. The emphasis, the accent, the emphasis is on the first words. The first words. That's where the emphasis is. Of the phrase, of the verse, it's on the first word, the first chapter. The first chapter of the Quran, the emphasis of the Quran is based on that first chapter. And here is the same. We're talking about al-insan. Khalaqa al-insan. It's all about khalaqa al-insan. Min salasalin kal-fakhar. From salasalin, but this salasalin is like fakhar. Now, for you all, I don't need to translate. We've been over the translation. If you don't know the translation, you can look it up. We also have this on recording. You can come back to recording. وَخَلَقَ الْجَنَّةَ مِنْ مَارِجٍ مِنْ نَارٍ. From marijin, from nar. The Jannah is from marijin, and the marijin is from nar. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Then which of the favors, many favors, ala'i, many favors, of your Lord? When it says your Lord, see in English, your could be singular, it can be dual, or it can be plural. It's one word. It's used for the singular, your Lord. It's used for the dual, your Lord, two of you, your Lord. Or it can be for the plural, your Lord. Here in Arabic, it shows you it's two. It's addressing two. So it's not two lords, it's two of you, the Lord of you two. That you two, tukadhibani, you two lie about, you two reject. Yes. And who are the two? Now, let's look at Qur'an by Qur'an. If we're looking at Qur'an by Qur'an, al-insan is being defined by salasalan and fakhar. It defines al-insan. Now, you can take all three verses, and the jinn is al-insan, and marijin al-insan, narin al-insan. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا. Now, if you want to make it two of them, you got the insan and you got the jinn. These two are the two is context. In context, these kuma is the jinn and the man, the humanity, the man. And it's these two. That's the context. Whenever you have pronouns, you go back and who are the pronouns related to? It related, there's two, you two, who are we talking to? We're talking to these two here. These two that were created. Just follow the grammar, go back, and it'll show the two. Okay. Now let's look at Qur'an by Qur'an. Looking at the verse. The first word we want to look at is, we're going to do salasalin. Salasalin. We're going to look at salasalin. And you may take into consideration what the dictionary has said. The dictionary is giving us an idea about the word. I'm going to show other sources. I'm going to show a couple of sources of this Qur'an by Qur'an. There's 3 sources. 2 of them I'll show today. The third one I'll show another day. So salasalin. In context, salasalin, this is the word, right? So we take the key words in the verse. The key words, al-insan. Al-insan helps define salasalin, and fakhar defines salasalin. We could even say creation. It defines salasalin. All of these words define salasalin. In context. If you want to do insan is defined by salasalin and fakhar. If you want to do fakhar, salasalin and insan defines, give you the contextual and conceptual idea of fakhar. Yes. Whichever word you pick, the other 2 will help define that contextually and then conceptually. It's part of the concept. Yes. So we're looking at the Quran. خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار. We're going to go through. I'm going to show you this system. The system of how to see a word in its conceptual, Quranic conceptual idea. I'll show you the method. This is one of the methods. We hear a lot about it, but how do we do it? And it works the same in English if you read an English book. If you read an English book, there's certain key technical words in the book, and the words that surround these words in the book gives you the concept of the word and how the author is using the word. Same way with the Quran. The Quran, you get the conceptual idea of the Quran by the Quran. You don't have to go outside of the Quran to get the conceptual idea. The Quran has its own worldview. It's revelation with its own worldview. We can see it in that sense. So, salasalin is the word. So we have khalaqa, which create. Al-insan, we could say humanity. Fakhar is pottery. In the next verse, we go to another verse where salasalin is in the verse. This is the easy way first. The easy way is to look at the verses that have salasalin in the verse, or a derivative of salasalin that's in the verse. And we look at all the verses with salasalin in it, or we can look at many of them. Some of these words, I won't do all the verses, it will be a lot. So it says, Qala lam akun li asjuda. Asjuda, prostration. Li basharin خلقته من صلصال من حمأ مسنون. So asjadin, meaning prostrate, submission. He said, I will not, I am not, I was not going to prostrate to a basharin, to a flesh and blood. You created him from salsalin, from hamanin, masnoon. So here is prostration, we have basharin, we already said create, we have hamain, mud, masnoon, fashion. We can look at masnoon. We see the word sunnah, fashion. We see the word sunnah in masnoon. So if we can read this freely, masnoon, it's in the passive. The idea of sunnah. Sunnah would be the internal noun. Masnoon would be the passive noun. So the masnoon is the one that receives the sunnah. So he's being fashioned, formed by customs, laws, tradition. Yes, this mud, but it's a part of salsalin. Salsalin is that which is fashion, given customs and tradition, because it all applies to al-insan, because this is the key word to all of it. This is the key word, the first word. So we could say man, looking at the concept of insan now. The concept of insan is someone who prostrates, they're sensitive, bashadon. You could say this is the word for sensitive. We're gonna see as we go during the week. He's created. He's mud, and he is fashioned by laws, customs, and tradition. All that is giving us the concept of al-insan. Yes. Now, salsalin. These words feed into it. I hope you're following. Another verse, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي خَالِقٌ. And when your Lord, now this your Lord here is singular. Cat is singular. Kumat is two, cat is one. He's speaking to one male person. And when your Lord said, Lil Malaikati, to the angels, Inni Khalikun, surely I am creating Basharan. Basharan. This is a flesh and blood human being with sensitivities. Min Salasalin. So Basha is one of the words defined in Salasalin. Min Hama'in, again Hama'in, Masnoon. Yes. So if we want to do Bashadun, if we wanted to do Bashadun, we would say this Bashadun. What's the Quranic context or concept of Bashadun? So we use Bashadun here. We use Bashadun here. So what's a basher? A basher is someone who prostrates. He's created, formed, and created. He's clay, that can be molded into shape, formed into shape, like mud with custom, laws, and tradition. That's bashar. Yes. And as we get down to the end of the week, we'll see Solomon, Hammer, as it applies to the human being. I'm giving you quick ideas now. This is Bashar. Also, we said Bashar is created. Bashar angels are related to the Bashar. Sometimes the Bashar comes in the form of an angel. Yes, we know that in the tradition. Also, mud and that can be formed and shaped. That's Bashar. Now, Salsalin. So you can do any of the words and get the conceptual idea of that. Then you have to think and reflect. The Qur'an is not an ABC type book that gives you everything literally and you don't have to think. The Qur'an, you have to think. You have to reflect. It forces you. The way the book is written in Arabic, we revealed it in Arabic in order that you use your intelligence, in order that you think and reflect. You have to. You can't speed read it. You have to think and reflect over and over and over. Yes. So now, looking at Salsalin, we take the key words, and you can do it. I'm going to show you the way I'm doing it. You could do it. If you did this, you may do it differently. All of us are different, and that's okay. It's okay to be different. But using this same method, you use the same method, but you would be different in the words that you would come up with and how you would write it. So we have the word create, humanity, pottery, prostration, mud, fashion, sensitive man. I use Bashar for sensitive man. You'll see why. You have the sensitive man, you have the man that walks on with two legs, you have the humanity, the thinking man, so forth and so on. Different types. So, or different aspects of man. So you take the words here, and we can write a statement that gives us the conceptual idea of Salsalin. So I could say Salsalin is that which makes intelligible sounds from Salsalin. That which makes intelligible sounds, that's Salsalin. We said Salsalin is make clinking sound. Right? But it also makes intelligible sounds. This clay, it makes intelligible sounds. It's like a vase fashioned with mud, which is like sensitive skin that the rest of creation prostrate in submission to it as a utility. This is the concept of Salsalin, a Quranic concept. These words here are all taken from the Qur'an. Yes. Now you have to think and reflect on what's being said. Yes. And we can extend the writing. Just taking these words here, we can extend this writing to be a nice writing using the wording here to extend it. Yes. Now, our objective in the end, not only to read the Quran with comprehension, but to understand Imam W.D. Muhammad. And many times, he's doing it in his speeches. One day in a class, I will take a speech and I will show you. He's doing it in the speeches. But we do it in English. So we can have a nice writing based upon these words here. We can extend it. This is just a statement. Okay. We could say this would be the thesis statement, and then we write from this statement. The next word we want to do, let's do it again. Let's do Jannah. Jannah. وَخَلَقَ الْجَنَّةَ مِنْ مَارِجٍ مِنْ نَارٍ. So to start out, this Jannah, to define Jannah, now I'm just going to do this one straight so you'll see it. Jannah is marriage. Jannah is also nar. And the Jannah is created. These are the key words. Min, particles, other words, you don't use every word. You don't have to use every word, but just some key words. And the words that are closer to it. When it's written, the words that are close to it. So we start there. We have these three. Then we have min al-jinnati wa nas. So nas is defining the jinn. وَأَنَّهُ كَانَ رِجَالٌ. This is the man that walks on with legs. Walks with two legs. It's called rijalun. So we have basharun, we have rijalun, we have insanun, we have nas. This one is the one that walks on two legs. Min al-ins. Ins is another one. Ins is defined as the human being. Ins, a human being. Ya'udu. Ya'uduna, they seek refuge. The jinn. The jinn. And then we took rahakan. Rahakan. Rahakan is foolishness. The foolishness. That also defines jinn. It's part of the conceptual idea of the jinn. Then we have وَأَنَّا ظَنَنَّا. We, opinion. This is the word for opinion. Opinion and ظَنَنَّا. What's the other word for opinion? It'll come to me, inshallah. وَأَنَّا ظَنَنَّا أَنْ لَنْ تَقُولَ الْإِنْسِ. We have ins. And then we have jinn عَلَى اللَّهِ كَذِبًا, and lie. Feeds into the idea of jinn. So this one we took opinion and we take lying. Lying, telling a lie. Lie. The next verse, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ. This is jinnah. Al-insi. So jinn is defined by ins. إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And he worships. The jinn worship. We created the man and the jinn. I created them to worship me. They both worship. The jinn worship, and the man worships. The ins worships. In this verse, if you did this verse, the ins worships. The worship is part of the ins, and the jinn is part of the ins. Yes. Prophet said we all have an ins. We all have a jinn. We all have a jinn in us. Okay, so we take these group of words to give us the conceptual idea of jinn. This is not something I made up. I forget I got it. I started out from the M.A.L.I. when he was showing how the Qur'an is the best dictionary for the Qur'an. And he showed how to do it. He didn't give us the ABCs. He just said how to do it. Then I ran into a book by a Japanese scholar, Muslim scholar, and I saw that I borrowed the method from him. So if you think this is something I made up, I'm not the only one. Now, so we take confusion. Marriage from the dictionary, we got the idea of confusion. So let's use confusion. See, there are many words to the one word because of the broadness of Arabic language. So I'm giving you the idea. That's why you may do it differently than I do it. But I'm trying to just use one word to show you the method and the idea. We can use a group of words as we're defining jinn, giving the conceptual idea of jinn. What's a jinn? What's a jinn? Confusion, fire, and this is fire remember we're talking about insane. All of it goes back to insane. So this is the fire, passions. We think of passion, desire. This is the fire that's in mankind, that's in man, that's in the human being. This is the fire. But we're just looking at it right now, conceptually. Fire, you have mankind. The jinn is confusion, fire, mankind, men that walks with legs, the human being, ends, who seeks refuge, full of foolishness, opinion, lie, and worship. Now, if you look at all of these words here, all of these words could go into marriage. Looks like confusion. Look at the words that define gender. It looks like someone confused. But let's take the idea. Now we take the words here, and let's take these words now, and let's create a statement using these words that give us the conceptual idea of the jinn. The jinn is made of fire in the form of a man. Is confused, full of opinion and lies, who seek refuge amongst mankind in worship of the one who created it. This is the jinn. We're not talking about someone, invisible creation. We're talking about someone in reference to insane. And if we can hold these conceptual ideas as we're reading, see, the Qur'an is big. Your mind, it expands the mind. It expands the thinking. As we see all of this, as we're reading words, these ideas come with words. Marriage. Let's do it straight. Marriage. So we take marriage in. Khalaqa al-jannah min marriage min nar. So Jan defines marriage. Nar defines marriage. It's part of the makeup, the conceptual idea of marriage. Sees, meeting, these are keywords. هو الذي مرج البحرين هذا العذاب, sweet, palatable, you can stomach it, nice taste, salty, bitter. Keywords. Barazakhan, this is you could say a partition, and hijran, a barrier, partition, and or a barrier, can't be penetrated, something that can't be penetrated. So we have jinn, fire, seeds, meat, palatable, sweet, bitter, salty, partition, barrier. This is the group of words we take. Now, take the group of words and we can create the conceptual idea of marriage. A confused, raging fire in man that's like two seas that meet, but is partitioned with a barrier. That the sweet, palatable personality does not overcome the bitter, salty one. This is the idea of marriage. Yes. So this is how I did this to show you the concept and idea of how to see Qur'an, the Qur'an, Bil Qur'an. We hear it a lot. This is a method to apply what we've been hearing. Qur'an, Bil Qur'an. Just all we're doing, it's no mystery. It's taking a word, and we do the same in English. Taking a word in the Qur'an and seeing the key words that are used with it. It gives us the contextual idea, how words are used with other words. That's part of reading. So we can make the sounds, the hollow sounds, with no meaning. And the spirit that Allah breathes into man, that forms man, is in the meaning. As we begin to read with meaning, then we begin to become formed. This clay becomes formed. Then we begin to be formed by customs, traditions, our acts. We call it fiqh. Yes. So just how words are used in context. And then you take the various contextual ideas from the verses, and then we begin to see the concept of that word, the Quranic concept, not the concept of pre-Arabia so much, of pre-Islam in Arabia, but the Quranic concept, because the words that were used, let's say in the Arab speaking before Qur'an, but when the words are taken and put into the Quranic context, the words take a shift. Their meanings will take a shift. The ideas may take a shift because now they're in a different form, a different writing, a different worldview. So those words will shift. They may not have the same meaning that they had in pre-Islamic time. It shifts. That's why there's some verses the Arabs didn't understand, because they knew the words. They knew the words Alhamdulillah. They knew the word Allah. But they didn't know the expression Alhamdulillah. They didn't know the meaning of that expression. We do it in English. A rapper, he can take a word. We know the word. We know the word chill. We know what chill means. But when a rapper says chill, it enters into a different word field. We call this the word field, the word environment. It enters into a different word environment because now the meaning shifts the way the author is using it with another group of words. So same with the Quran. The words that come into the Quran, but when it comes to the Quran, it takes a shift. Now you have to understand these words with the other words in the Quran that may have taken a shift also, until the Quran becomes its own worldview. You have to understand the Qur'an within the Qur'an. That's what we mean by Qur'an, by Qur'an. Yes. It's just not, you can't take the word out. I see this many times. You take the word out and you define the word, but you don't put the word back into the context with the other words. It shows perhaps you can't read. You know words. Yes, I know the words, but I don't know the meaning. I don't know the phrase. I don't know the verse. Because I don't know this word in context with this word. In context with this word. Grammatically, first read it grammatically. Because they connect with each other grammatically in terms of what's being said. Then these words are also related to each other conceptually. Now you step above the grammar. Because now you're not just reading it grammatically. I'm not showing you this grammatically. I'm showing you this conceptually. Down the reading, that's a higher reading. Yes. Read. That's why I'm saying many people, yes, they know some Arabic, but they can't read. Many of you, you know English, but you can't read. You cannot read words in context in English. You just see a word and apply meaning to it that's outside of the context that the word is used in. Same way with the Qur'an, Quranic Arabic. So the only context for the Qur'an is the Qur'an and the life of the Prophet. How did Muhammad the Prophet, the prayer and the peace be upon him, how did he, what conceptual ideas he getting from the Qur'an, and then he put it in his life. He practiced it and walked with it. But it's not ABC. So we have to understand, we get the conceptual ideas from the Qur'an. We can look at his life and see his life in the Qur'an. If we want to really see the life of the Prophet, his life is in the Qur'an. That's what his wife said. It's in the Qur'an. But for many of us, we separate the two. We separate the Qur'an from his life. And then you have people arguing about Qur'an or Sunnah. Or I only read Qur'an. I only read Sunnah. No. And it says Sunnah, they give us these ideas of these words. And these words give us the idea of the Sunnah. Yes. So forth and so on. Now, let me show you two sources in conclusion here. One source is a concordance. This concordance here, here's a concordance. And it's called Zekr. Z-E-K-R. If you can see it up here. Z-E-K-R, I believe it's .org, O-R-G. Or look up Zekr. Z-E-K-R, Zekr. And you can download it on a PC. It doesn't download on tablets. It's a good Quranic source to use if you can get it and download it. So it has in it a concordance. So I can take the word, and put the word. It's good if you can get your computer to use Arabic language also. Learn to type in Arabic. So I put the word here. Let's look at jinn, one of the words that we use. Here I type in the word for jinn, jim and noon. Then I will search. And it will give me this word. Let's see what it gives me. Sometimes it may give too much. I search, yes. And I go through and I can find the words for jinn or jannah. Now, if I can put in the actual word jannah, this is the word jannah, and it will give me the word jan. So let's just, for example, to show you how it works. Once you learn to read, you learn to read, and then as your reading improves, that you can see words pretty quick. I can do this quickly. I want to get a conceptual idea of jan, the word that's in the verse. So I take the words here. I'm just going to show you without doing it. So here's the word jan. Let me take the key words that's close to it. So here's ins. And here's the word yatmith, hunna, yatmith. These two words I would take. So I'll put these two. I create what we call a word field. Take the words here and create the word field. So the closest one, let's do the close ones. The closest one is ins. So we had ins. Madajan, yes, Madajan is from that, if we want to look at Madajan. But let's see how many jan. Here's jan. Let's take the exact word. If you can do the exact word, do that first. So the exact word, we have the word yatmith. Yatmith. Ta-math. We could take that word. Put that in the word field. Then we have here jan again. So we have ents again. So let's take this one, Thenby. Let's take Thenby. Put that in the word field. Here's Janna again. Madajan. Put that in the word field. See how I'm taking from verses and creating a word field. We call it word field. F-I-E-L-D. Create the word field. Because these are all words that have been used in context with the word jan. We can keep going. We find here jan again. So janun, we take the word mudbiran. Take the word tadzu. Put these in the word field. We're just putting them in the word field. Anas. Now, that's jan. That's another word. Continue going. This is a concordance. It's showing you jan. Here's jan again. Let's see. Use those words. Alajanna, halakna. Put that word in with it. We could take samun, nari samun. Here are some more. See, it's giving us, see how nari is used with it again? Nari samun is used with it again. So it's giving us the idea of jan. That nari is used with it again. So we use the concordance. We can use the concordance to get a conceptual idea of jan from the Qur'an. We can do it fast. And see that. I can go through and do that, see it fast, I get the conceptual idea. If there's a word I'm looking up, I use a dictionary and look it up. You can start with your hands word if you want. Look it up. It gives you an idea. Don't lock in with hands word. It gives you the idea. Then go to an Arabic dictionary, and you can get a clearer definition that you're going to find they're defining these words as they're used in the context of the Qur'an. And that's the dictionary I'm going to show. You can do this with also. Then, if you have a concordance like this technology is amazing. I come here to this technology, and I do what I just did, and I can take the group of words, and in my mind, I can get the conceptual idea without writing it out of what jan is. I get the conceptual, Quranic conceptual idea of jan. Not the idea I may derive from reading Arabian Nights 1001 Nights. They talk about the jinn in there. I may not come away with that idea. I come away with the Quranic idea. And then I look at the words. If I want to go further, I'll look at the words that I'm using, that the Quran is using in association with the word jinn. Yes. Then if I want to be in particular, I'll go look at sources. What's the difference between jan and jinn? With the fatha and with the kasra. Which we saw, they would say the jinn is the father of the jinn. That's one of the ideas that we get. You have to stay, it can't be too hard. You have to stay as clay that can be formed, because you want to be formed and reformed by the Quran. You don't want to be hard. They take an idea in hard and you can't be changed. You have to be broken up before you change. You want to be formed, keep enough of the ingredients. Keep enough water. You need water. You need dirt or clay that's dry, but you want to put some water on the dry clay so it can be molded. You need air. You don't want to dry out too much air. You'll dry up. So you don't want the water, and you need fire. But you don't need not too much fire. The jinn is all fire. You don't want to be all fire, but you do have to have some fire. To form you, you're being formed by the fire. The fire is helping to form it. But you don't want to get hard, so hard you can't be changed. You want to remain solid. So you can continue to be formed and reformed. Yes. Now, let's look at another source. We'll go to another source. Let's see if I can bring it up. Yes, here we are. Okay, this is one of the dictionaries we use. It's an Arabic dictionary. So if you can't get into the Zakr, something like that, that will have a concordance that will highlight words for you. It'll make it easy for you to use. There is a book. I don't have the name of the book right now. Inshallah, I'll give you the book tomorrow. If you want a book in the book form that has a concordance, it has all of the words in the Qur'an and the verse that they appear in. It gives you a piece of the verse that they appear in, that you can see the conceptual idea of that word, how that word is used in the Qur'an. Now, if you want to use like I'm doing here, here's the word. All of these are in book form. What I'm showing you is in book form. This is in book form. And this is the Aragib. Aragib al-Isfahani. This is a good Quranic dictionary that's used by many scholars, well known. It's known as Aragib. If you hear people mentioning Aragib, they may not say Aragib al-Isfahani, or they may mention the Mufradat. It's known by the Mufradat, or Aragib, because it's well known. Now here, he defines a word, he gives you the definition, then he gives you the Quran of how the word is used in the Quran according to the definition that he's given. So here, where you find here, to show you how to use it quickly, you find these numbers. These numbers are the numbers of verses, and then the word here is the chapter. This is the chapter, and this is the verse. Al-An'am. And Al-An'am, 76. Then we go back, you go back and see where he starts from here. And when you see this Azza wa Jal, this is speaking of Allah. So he said Azza wa Jal. That's who the he is. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا. So we saw in the dictionary, we saw where they use the term Janna alayhi al-laylu. That was in the dictionary yesterday that he took from here and helped defining the word Jannah. So here's your word here, the word Jannah. So you can take this verse, now we use the key words around it. So we can use the key words for Jannah, we have Layl, and we have Kawkaban. These are two key words to create the word field. So you may do it differently, but you're going to still have this conceptual idea even if you're using different words. You're going to find that. But the same words are going to appear as you have seen with the words. So this is how you use this. This is how you use the dictionary. So this is one. Then you just keep going because Jannah is the key right here. Aslu Jinn. This is the key. Then you go back, here's the number here, 16. So he says, Qala Azza wa Jal ittakhadu aymanakum junnatan. That's the word, junnatan. So you take the word here, aymana. Put that in the word field. We keep going. Here's 16. Sabbath 16. وَبَدَّلْنَاهُمْ. Let me show you because in case your Arabic is slow. وَبَدَّلْنَاهُمْ بِجَنَّةَ. That's the word. Jannata is the word. And also Jannatain. So Badalana, put that in. Here's another one, Sabbath. It starts with وَلَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَعٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ جَنَّتَانِ. That's the word, Jannatan. Yamin, Shimal, Maskana, they all give you the conceptual idea of Jannatan. And so you can do it this way. You can come into this dictionary and just go through. You're not trying to read it literally. If you notice, I'm not reading and translating the verses literally. I'm going in and finding a group of words that I can create this word field with. And then once you create the word field, you look and my good friend, may Allah be pleased with him, Imam Qasim Ahmed, he calls it brainstorming. You get all of these words and you start brainstorming these words until the conceptual idea of the keyword comes out. Yes, he wrote a book. I had a discussion with him one day. We were talking. And we were talking about it, brainstorming. And I was saying to him, you need to write a book too because this is the idea. This is the idea that he had. He calls it brainstorming. Now, I'm going to say this, and it's going to get to where I wanted to get to. So Nadia, who's his wife, she's continuing with his work. She has an institution that she's continuing with his work. And I believe they have brainstorming as part of their work. Now, how do we work together? M.A.L.I is not the only, can't be, the only school, the only group, the only one that teaches Quranic Arabic. It can't be. We have to have many. Many, because if we don't have one, the enemy can knock one down, then we won't have anything. So the more we have, the more confused the enemy would be. They won't know who to knock down. So, I don't have to stop M.A.L.I and join Nadia, but what I'm showing here, this is brainstorming. I can be a borrowed teacher and do a session, a semester or a session with Nadia, Islamic Institute, I think it's called. You borrow me. I become a borrowed teacher, and I go and teach brainstorming, and I teach this a whole year, a whole period, whatever their periods are. For a period, I teach the students this brainstorming, and it's just brainstorming. In M.A.L.I, I do more than brainstorming. We do more than this at M.A.L.I. So you borrow me to teach brainstorming for a semester. I'm a borrowed teacher. And then, but I'm continuing to teach in M.A.L.I also. That's how you work together. You find someone who's good at what you're doing, you bring them in, and they teach the class, like we did with Imam Jihad. Imam Jihad was a borrowed teacher to teach Balaga. He didn't stop doing what he was doing. He comes to M.A.L.I, and he teaches Balaga. We borrowed him for a couple of years. Yes. So he taught Balaga. Now maybe next year we'll look at Balaga and W.D. Muhammad as it relates to W.D. Muhammad. We'll do it from the Balaga perspective. There's a lot. As Imam Jihad would always say, it's an ocean. You're not seeing the whole ocean. You're just seeing a part. You're just taking a sip out the ocean. You're not trying to drink the whole ocean. So yes, we borrowed him for a couple of years to teach Balaga because he's good at it. He's good at it. I recognize he's good at it. So hey, let us borrow you to come and teach Balaga in M.A.L.I. Now M.A.L.I has Balaga that we will teach. We'll soon be teaching Balaga in M.A.L.I because we learned from Imam Jihad. We borrowed him. He didn't have to sign up and say, okay, I'm joining M.A.L.I. You don't join M.A.L.I. You come and be a student of M.A.L.I. And then you take what you have and do what you're going to do with it. I don't follow you to see what you're going to do with it. But you just can't say, okay, I got my own M.A.L.I. No, M.A.L.I is M.A.L.I. Harvard is Harvard. Stanford is Stanford. Harvard can say, we're going to borrow a professor from Stanford to teach at Harvard for a year. You'll be a borrowed professor from Stanford. You're a borrowed professor from England because you have something that we don't have. Come and teach and show us. Show us, and then once we learn, you go back to where you come from. That's how we work together. That's one way we can work together. So borrow me. Borrow me to teach a class on brainstorming. And it'll be brainstorming. I didn't make this up. It doesn't belong to me. Just something I've done. I'm sure you all see the idea. So if it doesn't get back, then I would have to write her. That's how you do it. But I don't stop M.A.L.I to go do it. I find a time I can do it. Then after they learn, they can do it. Same way with Imam Jihad. He didn't stop what he was doing. He filled in his schedule. We filled in our schedule. We borrowed him for a couple of years. He taught us Balaga. Yes. And when he left, he said, okay, it's yours now. Yes. So these are the two sources. You can use a concordance or use this dictionary, Ar-Raghib, Al-Isfahani. You can use this dictionary to get your keywords, to get the keywords from the Quranic verses. I thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak.